Excuse me. I'd like to welcome everybody to the February 13th, 2024 Board of Education meeting. Mike's a little hot there, sir. I'd like to call this to order, please. Standing as you are able, we'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance, led by the famous Brad Gerby. Thank you.
Oh, famous indeed. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for your flexibility as we got started. Now, we are going to diverge a bit from the agenda, and I'm sure you won't mind. I would like to introduce, please, or call up a special guest, Rod Beaton, please, from the Hot Rod Motorcycle Awareness and Suicide Prevention Foundation. And they've got a really interesting thing to share with us, and you're going to take 3 to 5 minutes. So this is extended public comment. However, board, we will allow you to ask a question or two. This is a little slightly different. Good.
What did you say for the same? Just so
I'm going to say keep it at 5 minutes or so, but they won't hit 5.
You're going off the rails.
And press the green light on that microphone. You gotta tap to make, where it says push to make sure it goes.
Okay,
solid.
there you go, I'm sorry.
Rod has promised us he'll keep it under 5.
Okay, hello. My name is Hot Rod Beaton, and with me are some of our members of Hot Rod's Motorcycle Awareness and Suicide Prevention Foundation. Good evening, Superintendent Stephen Lash and the Saline Board of Education. Our organization is here today to introduce ourselves and present a proposal. We are not a motorcycle club. Hot Rod's Motorcycle Awareness and Suicide Prevention Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit. Our mission, to raise funds for motorcycle awareness, suicide prevention, and various Michigan-based entities for relief. Our foundation cares deeply about your students and your mental health initiatives that could possibly save lives. Knowing where to get help when you need it is very important. Our benches display the message, "You are not alone," and provide the 988 crisis hotline number, giving your students a resource to ask for help when they may need it. Our benches are eco-friendly, made of high-quality 100% recycled plastic, and are produced in the USA by OCC Outdoors in Indianapolis, Indiana. We are not trying to sell these benches. Our proposal is to donate 2 benches for the Saline School District. So far, we have donated benches to Milan, Dundee, Monroe, Airport High School, and Monroe County Community College. We have had such a great response from not only the schools, but also the community for helping address their mental health concerns. If this proposal meets the board's approval, we would be honored to get 2 benches for your school district. I will be in contact with Michael McVeigh once the approval is given, and we can set up a date for a presentation to the school board for our bench donation. Thank you for your time this evening. Do you have any questions?
Thank you very much, Rod. Rod?
No.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board?
I have a question.
Please.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. I was actually at Airport High School on Saturday, and I think I saw one of these benches. So very
Oh,
cool.
right, there you
Very
go.
cool. We had a competition down there. Have you also talked with the city? I was just wondering if you were thinking about like where you might want the benches and if you could talk to the townships or cities as well, in addition to Saline area schools?
Well, our main concern is mental health, and we know how prevalent it is in schools. We actually went to a funeral for a young man who was 13 years old and hung himself at Monroe High. And there was a big thing about he was bullied and whatnot. And as we go along, we more or less hit schools. If we had the monies, probably could we go to villages or townships and cities and donate benches? I guess if we had the money, but these aren't cheap. These are $1,000 a piece.
Sure thing.
So, no, we would love to do stuff like that, but right now, we're not that rich.
Totally understand. I'd love to learn more. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Hi, thank you for providing this possibly donation. And I just want to say that the suicide hotline was useful for a child in my home. So I really appreciate you putting the message out there. Thanks.
Well, thank you, and you'd be surprised. They go right to them, and your school district can decide where they want to put them, and some schools have went to the, what do they call that? Student council, and asked them for where they would like to have them, but they've been putting them in their atrium, I guess, and they're by their gymnasium, where they get the most traffic coming through. So. Brad?
First of all, before I ask a question, and I need to phrase it properly because I think what you're doing here is fantastic. Like, I do, and I think this is important, and I am so glad that, you know, your group is making mental health a priority. What would you want from us? Like,
Nothing.
You know, like,
We don't need
just
anything.
the benches.
No, sir. We're donating them.
Okay. You know, I didn't know if you would want to have assemblies with our kids, or you'd want to do
Well-
any of that kind of thing, or just, so I just want to be clear about like what's,
Thank you, though. I know, and it's appreciated because we aren't shy. If you had a bunch of kids that were somewhere and they wanted to talk to people that really care about mental health, we'd be more than glad to sit up there
course.
and say something to them, you know,
Okay.
in regards to that.
I just wanted to ask a question.
No, absolutely. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Brad.
I want to commend your organization for being an organization of people who are interested in motorcycling, who are now taking a vested interest in our youth. And many of us work in the field of education in one way or another, or with children outside of the field of education, or have our own children. And we know that the risk for our kids in terms of mental health is a reality. And so I think having benches and having this phone number be accessible and in their faces could potentially be the difference, that a child could see that instead of a blank bench and make a decision to call. So I really appreciate that you thought of Saline area schools, and that you're willing to make this donation to us. And I hope that it's one that we will consider and work with our operations department and school leadership to determine the best location so that they do get the most viewing and accessibility. And because our schools are so predominantly used by our community, to build upon what Vice President Stebbins said, I don't think it's just kids that you're going to be impacting. I think it's our entire community. So thank you so much.
Jenny, I can give you a true story what happened today. We went to a place to go order a bunch of clothing and whatnot. Her son has knives. He had them in his room. And he told his mother, he says, Mom, he says, would you get these knives out of my room? Why would somebody make a comment like that that's only 12 years old? He wakes up middle of the night and he has issues, so maybe he saw something and he did something. And the mother obviously took the knives out of his room, because that's how things happen. So thank you guys very much. I'll get out of your hair. Appreciate you.
Rod, I just want to say, we'll see you in a couple of months, I suspect.
Mike,
And,
I'll get a hold of you. Trust me.
Oh, yeah? I trust you. You have my phone number and my social security. I don't know why you need
I don't need that.
Thank you very much, guys.
Appreciate you guys, and thank you.
Dr. Lodge, are we going to, has a statement to make about something to recognize this evening?
Right, so this one's a little different in that we are recognizing boys soccer tonight, yet we have some information from the head coach, yet communication was such that we don't have the soccer players here. But with that said, we're moving forward with a superintendent's recognition about this great season that the boys soccer team had. So 2023 was a year of many changes for the men's soccer program at Saline High School, and everyone in the program embraced the change admirably. We welcomed 2 new coaches, Nick Marical and Bella Petrock into the program, along with Connor Williams' promotion to the varsity head coach. Ian Sturms, our JVA coach, continued developing talented players and resilient teams in his committed and extensive tenure as soccer coach at Saline High School. The Saline High School soccer program also underwent structural changes this past year. The program now consists of JVB, JVA, and varsity teams, rather than just a freshman JV and varsity team. Sophomores can now play with the JVB team, and juniors can play with the JVA team. It's the hope of our coaches and administration that this change will allow our talented soccer players to continue playing in the Saline Hornet jersey with their best buddies for as many years as possible. Now on to the actual highlights of the season. Our JVB team, led by Coach Bella, started off the season a bit slow, but demonstrated remarkable growth as the season progressed, ending the season with a 6-0 victory against Brighton and an exciting end-to-end match with Plymouth that resulted in a 4-3 defeat. Our JVA team finished the season with a record of 7 wins, 6 ties, and only 2 losses, while many of those games were decided by 1 goal or less. The JVA team had a knack for gritting their teeth and battling through tough environments all year long. Our varsity team rode the roller coaster of intensity this year. From dominating at the beginning of the season to a considerable mid-season slump, and then onward to the Hornets' 4th district championship in the last 5 years against one of their biggest rivals, Ann Arbor Skyline. One fact remained constant throughout the season. The 2023 Hornets were a team, not just a bunch of talented individuals. Ultimately, varsity finished the season with a record of 9 wins, 5 ties, and 4 losses, as we were eventually knocked out of the playoffs by a dynamic Northville team in the regional semifinal. Varsity notched a season-high ranking of 5th in the state, and senior captain Connor Mitzel led the team in individual honors as he was recognized on the All-State Honorable Mention team. Junior captain Jackson Phillips and senior captains Noah Lepore, Colin Learman, and Michael Bryant led the team masterfully. We will surely miss their influence as students, leaders, and soccer players. Ultimately, it was an incredible season to be a Hornet in the Saline soccer program. Each team faced adversity and showed character in their response. We can't wait to go again next fall, and we're hoping the SHS women's soccer program this spring can put another one of those very big trophies in the cabinet. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Public comment. A member of the public may address the board for up to 3 minutes or request to be scheduled on the agenda of a future meeting. Please note that students will be given priority to speak on any topic. The first public participation portion of the meeting was limited to 30 minutes normally and limited to agenda items. A second public participation portion will be offered at the end to allow for any other comments. Individuals addressing the board will take into consideration rules of common courtesy. Public participation portion of the meeting cannot be used to make personal attacks against a board member, district employee, or a student. I'd like to introduce Mr. Chan Ming Fan as our
Good
one
evening.
speaker this evening.
There's no personal attack. I just want to show you this. You can watch on YouTube, attack the bird. When the windmill this big, a tip, the speed may be just a little slower than the bullet. Any bird will be killed. Topic today, good evening. My name is Chang Ming Fan, and I want to address to President Michael and Dr. Larch and everybody. As you probably know, I'm the person who have initiated this concept called SALT, Saline Area Light Tower. It can be
Mr.
used-
Fan, I'm going to ask you to address the board primarily, like just to point
I thought this-
yourself at us. That's
I'm sorry.
It's okay, it's
From
okay.
now on, I will have to. This is make me very angry when I look at the basic money spending. General Motors spent billions of dollars already committed. The horizontal floating wind farm, 35, even more away from the main line, supported for this kind of concept, renewable energy by gigantic dinosaur of windmill. And also, as you know, the solar farm, acres and acres, occupy the land. All of the things question, is this America? Is this the future of a wonderful student? Or we can consider, as I propose, the SALT initiative, right now expanded. The concept evolved. I'd like to give Director Chief Jay technically to review. The concept very simple. We can say vertical renewable farm of renewable. Why is that? It's very simple, just like tree, biomimic. Also, people can be participate. 6 kind of job will be created, millions of dollars will be saved. No digging, no concrete, no heavy equipment, no disturb of biome or ecology. How to do that? People, just like follow the simple example of biology. And I have the stuff right here, but thank you.
Thank you, sir. And if you see Mr. Fan in the streets for the next few days, please say, Sinen Kwe La.
Thank you.
Happy New Year. There you go. No, that's my man. I've just exhausted my Mandarin. We have one extended public comment, please, from Emily Sickler, principal of Harvest Elementary, the famous Harvest Elementary School.
Hi, I am Emily Sickler, proud principal of Harvest Elementary. I'm not sure if your daily calendar routine is as extensive as ours in the kindergarten hallway at Harvest, but we track the days that we are at school with enthusiasm. And yesterday was our 100th day of school. And although I would love to share with you the 100 ways that Harvest is just so very special, I'll use a skill that I practiced with my second graders today, regrouping, and make 100 into groups of 10 for the sake of time, and share the top 10 list of why Harvest is oh so sweet. Number 10, we have 30 bi- and trilingual students that speak 15 different languages in our building. Number 9, we regularly get together for community meetings where we kick off with a shared Harvest song penned by our very own Mrs. Tricia Dana. The ending goes 1, 2, 3, 4, Harvest 4. It is very catchy. Number 8, every classroom has a buddy class that they meet with to learn and have fun with. In the beginning of the year, our third graders support their kindergarten and Young 5 buddy classrooms with very important tasks, like how to open those pesky lockers and put away their backpacks. Number 7, our parent-teacher organization finds fun and engaging activities for our students. Last week, they hosted a Harvest night cheering on our Saline varsity basketball team. I believe that's why they beat the Pioneers. And next month, they have secured a magician to help us kick off March's Reading Month. Number 6, students are working hard to grow academically. For example, during WIN, or What I Need, students in kindergarten through 3rd grade move to targeted grade level groups that address a literacy skill 4 times a week. Number 5, we believe in staff wellness. Every Wednesday we have Wellness Wednesday. This year we have had a staff painting party and are currently doing a secret Cupid event. We want our staff to feel supported and connected so they can be the best versions of themselves and be the best for their students. Number 4, we practice shared language across all spaces at Harvest. You might hear, that was unexpected, body in the group, or eyes like arrows in the lunchroom, in the innovation lab, or by the classroom teachers. By having all adults at Harvest use common language, students have a strong understanding of this social thinking language. Number 3, our Harvest Kindness Squad rocks. Recently, we had our Super Bowl challenge where we set a goal to collect 200 items for the Saline Social Services. We crushed that goal, and our Harvest Hornets donated over 550 items. Number 2, our staff. is the most dedicated, thoughtful, and compassionate group of educators around. From the office staff to paraeducators, lunch support, buildings and grounds and busing to ancillary services, special teachers or special education teachers to our classroom teachers. I get to spend my days observing these educators, constantly finding unique, creative, and thoughtful ways to connect, support, and inspire our Hornets. And number one, our Harvest Hornets. There is nothing sweeter than 432 Hornets that walk in the doors of Harvest each day. And who knows what they're going to do when they walk out. Maybe even land here someday. Thank you so much.
Principal Sickler, you forgot to mention the number 11, that they have the most awesome principal. Thank you. I would, response to public comment from last week, and it might actually involve you. I'd like to thank on behalf of the board, I'd like to thank the entire leadership team for recognizing, for School Board Recognition Month. We received so many little gift baskets and knickknacks and things. The chocolate did not last more than 2 days, I must tell you, in my household, and I'm primarily responsible for that. So thank you very, very much for your recognition. We really appreciated it, yes. Revisions and approval of the agenda. Items can be added or deleted from the meeting agenda, and the order can be changed at the request of an individual board member or the superintendent. The agenda has to be approved before proceeding further. I would like to make a slight change to action item B, if you're following, where it says the name Michael McVeigh. Would you please change that to name? Because at this point, we are going to, we'll have a motion to approve a person to be voted on. We'll have a discussion, and if you want to put that name back in there, you're welcome to, or some other name. That's the only change. You have a change, yes, sir?
In the past, after we've created space under, I think it was either discussion items or scheduled report for a finance update.
Yes, sir?
It's not here.
Oh, quite good point.
So if you want me to make one, I'm prepared to do so about what we talked about to the team.
Under 9, scheduled reports, item B, we will have a brief summary of today's Finance Committee's meeting, correct? Yes, thank you very much, Treasurer
I'll be as
Gurley.
brief as possible.
I always say brief, but brief, thank you very much. Great. All in favor, please? Oh,
We have.
I
point-
need to
yeah.
have the motion, that's right. I'm entertaining a motion to approve the agenda as revised.
So moved, Miller.
Thank you.
Support ESTEP.
Support E-Step, thank you very much. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'm counting 7-0. Thank you so much.
Just a point of order, I think we need to call for the motion before we discuss the revisions in the future.
Quite right. Good point. Thank you very much. We'll try to catch that next time. Please, I'd like to introduce Kevin Musson and Lisa Rensler, who are going to give a little showcase to us.
And the crew.
And the crew, sorry. Oh. The new 2U crew.
Is this better? All right. Tonight we wanted to talk a little bit about our young adult program and some of the job skill training that we've been working on. And we really wanted to highlight our teachers today. And we also brought a student with us. Luke's coming up here. You're going to have an opportunity to see him. We prepared a little video for you. But first I want to just do some introductions. I'm going to start over here to my right, and so everyone has a name and a face.
Monica Ellis, Assistant Director.
Dan Hunt, Young Adult Teacher.
Hannah Zetterholm, Young Adult Teacher.
Megan Straley, Young Adult Teacher. And this is Luke. He is one of our Young Adult students.
Sarah Patton, I'm a teacher in the Young Adult program.
I'm Allison Bradley, the Vice President of New to You Again.
Hi, I'm Daniel Bradley, the President of New to You.
And I'm Amanda Cody Knoll, and I'm the GM of New to You Again.
some familiar faces. We're actually going to turn this over to our young adult program and have Megan come up and just give you guys a little sense of what we've been working on down there with our job skill training. And we're going to take that through this video and be able to also talk to our partners, New to You, about their hard work and dedication to our community with employment of disabled students. So, Megan?
Hello, thank you guys for having us. Young Adult is full of great things, but the one thing that we really wanted to highlight for you all tonight is the job skills and the community partnerships we have within the Saline community. We currently have students out at 8 job sites in the community, and we presented or made this video with pictures and some student interviews that highlight all of the job sites and the great things that our students are doing.
Stumble to the kitchen, pour myself a cup of ambition and yawn and stretch and try to come to life. Jump in the shower and the blood starts pumping. Out on the streets, the traffic starts jumping with folks like me on the job from 9 to 5. Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. Barely getting by, it's all taking and no giving. They just use your mind and they never give you credit. It's enough to drive you crazy if you let it. 9 to 5 for service and devotion. You would think that I would deserve a fair promotion. Want to move ahead, but the boss won't seem to let me. I swear sometimes that man is out to get me. They let you dream just to watch them shatter. You're just a step on the boss man's ladder, but you got dreams he'll never take away. In the same boat with a lot of your friends, waiting for the day your ship will come in and the tide's gonna turn and it's all gonna roll your way. Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. Barely getting by, it's all taking and no giving. They just use your mind and you never get the credit. It's enough to drive you crazy if you let it. 9 to 5, yeah, they got you where they want you. There's a better life, and you think about it, don't you? It's a rich man's game, no matter what they call it. And you spend your life putting money in his wallet. 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. Getting by, it's all taking and no giving. They just use your mind and they never give you crazy if you let it. 9 to 5 for service and devotion. You would think that I would deserve a fair promotion. Want to move ahead, but the boss won't seem to let me. I swear sometimes that man is out to get me. They let you dream just to watch him shatter. You're just a step on the boss man's ladder, but you got dreams he'll never take away. In the same boat with a lot of your friends, waiting for the day your ship will come in and the tide's gonna turn and it's all gonna roll your way. Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. Barely getting by, it's all taking and no giving. They just use your mind and you never get the credit. It's enough to drive you crazy if you let it. 9 to 5, yeah, they got you where they want you. There's a better life, and you think about it, don't you? It's a rich man's game, no matter what they call it. And you spend your life putting money in his wallet. 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. Getting by, it's all taking and no giving. They just use your mind and they never give you credit. It's enough to drive you.
Hi, Shane. I wanted to ask you a few questions about working in the Saline Yaps vending program. Is that okay?
Yeah,
How often do you work?
4 days a week.
4 days a week. What is your favorite thing about the vending program?
Working with my friends and job coach.
Working with friends and your job coach. Do you think completing job skills training in the vending program will help you in the future?
Yes.
Why is that?
I can't wait to get a paid job.
You can't wait to get a paid job? Awesome. Thank you, Shane.
Hi, Nathan.
Hi, Mr. Hunt.
Can I ask you some questions about the Saline Area Schools Young Adult Program? Tell me, what jobs do you do in the Saline Area Schools Young Adult Program?
I do a tractor supply, and we're over here as a custodial.
And do you think these jobs will help you get ready for your future as an employee at another business?
Yeah, I think so.
Nice. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Adam, where is your current job site?
My current job site is at New to You.
And what is your favorite thing about working at New to You?
My favorite thing is when the doorbell rings and I greet people.
Awesome. And Adam, what award did you just earn in December?
I just earned the Employee of the Month.
And how did you earn the Employee of the Month award in December?
The manager thought that I was the best greeter in the world.
Zach, what has been your favorite young adult program job site?
My favorite job site was working at Brookside.
And Zach, where are you currently employed at?
I'm working at the Ann Arbor Meijer.
And Zach, how many hours a week do you work at Meijer?
I work 20 hours a week.
And how did the young adult program prepare you to get a job?
We did a partnership with MRS. I took classes with them.
And what skills do you still work on while being at the young adult program?
I need to work on my pace.
Thank you.
Hi, Jonah. I want to ask you some questions about the Saline Young Adult Program job sites. Can you tell me about your job site?
My job is excellent.
It's excellent. What do you do during the day in the Saline Young Adult Program?
Vacuum, pick up trash, all of that.
Okay. What's your favorite part?
Vacuum.
Oh, you like vacuuming? Cool.
It helps me to exercise.
Okay. Hey, Anthony, thanks for coming in for this interview.
Yep.
You doing good?
Yep.
So I have some questions for you about our job site program here in the Young Adult.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Cool. What was your favorite job site as a young adult student?
Ooh, that's a tough question. My favorite job site was Tractor Supply with Howie, and my other one was Yost Arena with Kurt.
Oh yeah, cool. And where are you currently working?
I currently work at Bush's in Saline, Michigan, the fresh food market. I do the freezer sometimes, or I do grocery or beer and wine and stuff like that.
Fabulous, fabulous.
Yep.
And how many hours a week are you working there?
I'm mostly working 30 to 27 hours like a week and stuff like that.
Sounds busy, thank you. How did the Young Adult Program prepare you for this job 32 hours a week?
It gave me some experience and some other stuff like that. That's it.
Cool. Thank you for joining us today.
All right. Luke, would you want to come up and talk a little bit about your work that you do at Pleasant Ridge? You comfortable doing that? Can we talk about you and the hard work that you do? How you go there each and every day to work with those students? We got to see some great pictures of that. We're very, very grateful for you to come here. We just wanted to showcase all of your hard work because I don't think most would realize that you go into a school and you help others with disabilities as well. And you do a remarkable job. Not to mention that actually in the summers he works for us in our summer camps and actually is paid. Without question, he does a remarkable job. We wanted to bring him here tonight just to celebrate his accomplishments. So. That's all right. Being a little shy right now. I get it. I understand. Well, we wanted to recognize his hard work. So thank you, Luke, for what you do for us. Yeah. A couple more things that we want to talk about. One is just our partnership with New to You. We wanted just to have them come on up. Don't be shy. Get on up here. talk a little bit about the partnership there. It's very special, the work that we've been doing. We got to showcase some of that in the video as well. So I just want to hear from them and kind of the commitment that they have to our community, which is really, it's something that we hope to see grow into other businesses. So thank you all for being here.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with New to You again, but long story short, we're a nonprofit resale shop, and our whole mission is to employ individuals with disabilities. So we are a job site for the young adult program, and it is just like the best thing ever. Those kids are just, they brighten all of our days, and it's just so great to see them grow and work. And I'm not sure if you're familiar, but actually about, I think, over 80% of individuals with disabilities are unemployed, which is just so sad and it's just so frustrating because like everyone has everyone has an ability, literally everyone. And at our store, like we get to see everyone like use their ability and learn and grow like new abilities. And so having the opportunity for the young adult program to, gain that independence and opportunities is just great for when, they can move on and get a paid job. So it's just so great, and we love to see them, so, yeah.
So one thing specifically that we do at New to You is we find what is the best fit for every individual there. For Mr. Beasley that you saw, Adam, in the video, he's an amazing greeter. That is what he loves to do, and that is his passion. And so we find, for him, that's what he likes best. And so what we generally see when employees come in, they're usually very shy. They're very, concerned. And then there's like a 3-month period where they are just like crazy. They're so happy. They open up and you just see them grow over the period of time. And so that's kind of just what our goal is with the young adult program, is to find their niche, find what they like to enjoy to do, and then grow their talents. And so everyone has an ability, and we're so grateful that they come to us and help us out and that we are able to help each other. So there's not enough good things we could say about young adult program. Thank you.
Thank you guys very much. When you heard that percentage, that's pretty alarming. And what Monica and I wanted to talk a little bit more is to make sure that everybody here on our school board understands that we actually do what's called a cash match agreement with Michigan Rehabilitation Services. So we actually have money set aside to train our students. And this is something that Monica, it's a part of her role. She does an outstanding job of making sure that we do have employable students in the future. So I wanted her to talk a little bit about our relationship with Michigan Rehabilitation Services.
So we've done this for probably 5 years. My predecessor, Gloria Arnett, was very instrumental in getting that started. I think the biggest thing is not only do we need businesses in the community, but we also need that agency, because our students are only with us until they're 26, and then they have a whole lifetime ahead of them. So Michigan Rehabilitation Services offers them that support for their lifetime. One of the nice things that we have is we have been able to hire our students as employees of Saline area schools. So that is a tremendous, accomplishment, and I think it's our commitment to an inclusive community. As we saw in the video, we had students working at the middle school as in the custodial department. We've also partnered with transportation for a bus monitor. So we're constantly looking for those opportunities. We're looking at food service. It helps us as an organization because we all know that we're in desperate need of employees, and we have some students that have developed some very good and sound work skills. So it's a great partnership, but it does take businesses in the community, the schools, and the outside agencies. So we're very fortunate to have this, and I think this is something that we, give great emphasis to, and we want to emphasize and make a priority.
Do you guys have any questions or anything that we can help you better understand with what we presented tonight? Yes.
I'm just curious with the program, and I don't know if there's been enough data about, I guess, the success rate after our students from the program move on from age 26. I know you mentioned opportunities here, which is awesome. And so I'm curious if there's been, I guess, do you provide support, I guess, at that point, to kind of help them secure jobs or work with different organizations to if they want to, pursue a job.
Just kind of going through things, we do have, there is a survey that goes out to our students after they exit our programs. And it's a 3-year survey. And in that, it's also going to talk about employability and are you still employed or still looking for employment, as well as college. It's going to talk about college readiness. Are you still attending? Are you still going? We're very proud of our rates in Saline. We are one of the highest in the state on both accounts when it comes to employment as well as colleges, students still attending college. In terms of students staying employed, there is always those situations where you do hear from students that reach out to you later. Our job at that time is still just to put them back into contact with Michigan Rehabilitation Services and help through that avenue. So really at that point, we're a resource for them that we continue to just get with the family and provide information that they need.
Thank you.
So first of all, I want to give a special shout out to a special kid and family to me in Manchester. So shout out to the Shooks and Shane. It was great to see him. And boy, I like that kid. All right. So first of all, I guess I want to say first I want to thank our community partners. There were so many businesses and so many individuals who are supporting these young people, and this is an important part of the overall education, right, of our children, and so I want to make sure that I say how proud I am of the businesses, of our students, and our staff. So the one question I had is you were asking them things like, which one was your favorite job? So I guess I'm curious how often if they're on rotation, it would appear, and I'm wondering how often do those rotations occur? Do the students have student choice in it? Do they pick what their preferred career plan would be? That
Yeah,
kind of thing.
absolutely. So each year we go over students and their transition goals, including where do they want to live, and included in that is what kind of employment, what kind of job do they want to have once they leave the young adult program. And then as far as job sites, we switch job sites 3 times every school year. So we start in the fall, and then we have a new winter job site, and then again in the spring. And then we give students all the choices that we have, and they get to rate from 1 to 3 what their top 3 choices are. So, yeah.
First, it's super cool seeing how you go to Yoast and all those other businesses, along with having a connecting class that partners with the young adult program through the holiday shopping trip and bowling, which is super fun for all the students and everything. I just have one question for Mr. Musson. With the polar plunge coming up, I'm pretty sure that are you going to be jumping in the polar plunge?
Mateo. All right, I'll tell you what, Mateo. I'll tell you what. You guys raise over $20,000, and I'll jump. All right? Is that a deal? All right, there it is. Mateo and I go way back to Cooperstown. So, yeah.
We're up to 17,646 right now.
Is that where we are?
We're gaining.
40,000.
Secretary Miller.
Yeah.
I don't really have a question because I've had the opportunity to tour with Mr. Musson and Mrs. Ellis and see all of the programs K-12. I also had the opportunity to work with a lot of you. In fact, it was really cool to see some of my kiddos. Maria, I saw in the video, and she was in my class. And, and also saw Carson, Allie's friend, and some other kiddos there. My 2 seniors have made some lifelong friendships, including Luke. Luke and Drew have gotten to be really good friends. In fact, Luke sent Drew a really sweet message after he saw him get Homecoming King, and that meant so much to Drew. So they've been able to partner in bowling and shopping and all sorts of things. In fact, Drew owes Luke some boba tea, right? They ran out of time on the shopping trip, so they need to get together, but Drew's in season right now, so hopefully after that. But the thing that when I visited the classrooms and seeing tonight and hearing from my own kids who have really flourished, and it has impacted their future decisions about what they want to do in their future lives. Drew in business, creating inclusive opportunities, and Lainey in dance, creating opportunities for inclusive movement for everyone. It's just been a really beautiful thing. But the thing that and I'm going to get choked up, sorry. The inclusion model here is unprecedented. It's really like nothing I've ever seen. I've worked in a few different districts, and to see the way that this community, the students, the teachers, the paraeducators, the model that you've all created and that you've set up for inclusion has gone beyond the classroom. It's in the schools, it's in the social circles, it's in our community, and I just think that it makes our community an even brighter and better place for everyone. So thank you for your commitment to that. Thank you to our teachers who work tirelessly. One of the things that I hear from parents is the fear of what's going to happen to their kids when they turn 26. And tonight, you have demonstrated your commitment to preparing them for what lies ahead. And also a plug for that Liberty Club. I hope that we'll continue to be able to expand that program to offer opportunities for even more people in our community. But through the partnership with Michigan Rehabilitation, I have hope for all of our kids. When they leave our classrooms, when they're in 1st and 2nd grade, we wonder what's going to happen to these kids, and I feel hope for them. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, thank you very much for
You're very
coming this evening. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you all
Whole
for your
board.
time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We have 7 action items this evening, and I'll just dive into them. I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the recommendation of Interim Special Education Director Kevin Musson to appoint Tara Hayes to fulfill the term originally held by Ann Babcock as the Saline Area Schools representative for the WISD Parent Advisory Council.
So moved, Stebbin.
Stebbin, thank you.
Second.
Tim? Thank you, Mr. Austin. Any discussion on that? Or any comments you want to add, Mr. Latch or Mr. Muscle? He's left the building. If there are no questions for Mr. Musson, I'm ready to go for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, thank you very much. We'll let him know once the pictures are done. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say thank you to Ann Babcock. I've had the fortune of not only knowing her personally, but also as a colleague, and thanks for her service to this organization and to this work.
And of course, congratulations to Tara Hayes. I'd like to entertain a motion, move to approve to cast our one collective vote for the Region 7 MASB Board of Directors for insert name here. Just a side note, this is a 3-year term. The completed ballot will be cast and confirmed by the Superintendent Secretary no later than 1 p.m. on Wednesday, March 6, 2024. Do we have a motion?
I'd like to offer a revised motion to approve to cast our one collective vote for the Region 7 MASB Board of Directors for Michael McVeigh, to modify that.
And you beat me to it, so I'll second it.
Oh.
Then we don't have to come back and vote again.
Okay, I just wanted to point out that when you nominated me, and thank you very much, we had an incumbent and there was me, and since that time we learned that there are 3 other candidates. So I just want to make sure that you're rock solid on this decision here. And if I could add, as part of discussion here, Dexter voted for me last week. So it's just saying. But please, let's open a discussion. If there's another name you think that should replace mine, please.
They were good candidates, but I think I know where I want to go.
Okay.
Was there only 4? Was there more than 4 in the region?
Oh.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Oh, so there was a couple of regions. Was there five candidates then in Region 7?
5 candidates in Region 7,
Okay.
correct.
And some of them looked familiar, and I've seen them at MASB and stuff, so it's kind of cool that,
I reckon, these are, a lot of them are known entities, that's for sure, and,
But do they have the Master President Award?
well, if what you're asking is, hey, McVeigh, we noticed that you have the President's Award of Recognition, then one does, and that's that. I was going to save that for later because I just found out a few days ago that I got that award, and so we'll make a little fuss later. I don't want to make a big fuss, just a little fuss. But that's then now I can stop taking classes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it sounds like the plane landed and it's already in the hangar and the pilot's gone and had a nap. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Looking at you, E-Step. Okay. Just teasing. You were the one who drew attention to the fact that we need to have that change of the motion. So please, thank you very much. If I'm elected, I'll let you know. You'll be among the first 400 people to know. Thank you. I'd like to entertain a motion, please, to approve the $35,798 to Techno CNC System LLC, $85,680 to Jim Lofts and Associates, and $88,332 to Heidelberg USA for the purchase of CTE equipment as recommended by Kara Stemmer, Director of the South and West Washtenaw Consortium.
I'll make the motion.
Brad Gerby, thank you. Second?
I'll second it.
Support from Tim Austin. Okay, thank you very much. Is there any discussion? Kara's not here, so.
So a little more detail on this. This is specifically for a plasma cutting system, variable speed milling machines, and digital printing systems. And this is all part of the SWWC's need to expand and enhance academic and technical training in these specific programs: welding, computer integrated manufacturing, and visual imaging technology. So this will be put to good use.
Any questions for Dr. Lutch? No? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none. Thank you. This passes. I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the recommendation by Director of Technology Jay Grossman to award Turnkey Network Solutions the project to install fiber optic cables to provide network connectivity to the new Hornet Operations Center in the amount of $70,263. Do we have a motion?
So move, Stebbin.
Stebbin, thank you.
Support, E-Step.
Thank you very much, Susan. E-Step, thank you. Mr. Grossman just shimmers to the front of the room to answer any questions. Are there any questions?
Yes, Yeah, Mr. Grossman knows this question is coming. I asked it of him earlier, but I wanted the public and all of us to hear about it. One of the things that I read about with this connectivity, and I asked him about, is I said, why did we choose to run our fiber optics from the middle school rather than running it from a closer venue in the area of the operations center? And he had a great response. And then I asked him the second question, and he had a really good response too. And I said, well, why is it beneficial for our district to run our own cable from our own building rather than some other provider? So I want him to be able to toot his horn on the good things he did on this and that kind of thing.
Okay. So two things, and appreciate it. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity here. So in doing the research for the fiber cable, I looked at a number of factors trying to make this the most expedient and cost effective for us. While we do have a closer run that could get us to the high school coming from Tefcourt, it requires, as I was explaining to Brad, it requires going underneath the railroad tracks. And to do that requires bringing in so many entities, and the time and cost to do that, it's less expensive to do the 1.5 mile run from Tef to the middle school and keep using the light poles or the telephone poles that are already up there and keeping it above ground without having to deal with going underneath, specifically the railroad track. And then the second question of it, why is it better, or why was it more feasible for us to maintain our own versus leasing from another entity that already has fiber run? Essentially, the difference being cost, that if we were to lease it, we're paying a monthly rate for up to the 20-year lifetime of that fiber. When you take the monthly cost for 20 years over the one-time cost of the $70,000 we're asking for to install and maintain our own, It's like a third of the cost difference. So for those reasons, it was more fiscally responsible for us to look at maintaining our own and keeping it all in-house. It's a little bit safer too, because it's all our network that we maintain.
That was a good question, and once again, we're able to highlight fiscal responsibility, and I greatly appreciate that. Comments from?
This might be silly because I don't know a lot about fiber optics and I got a little lost in this, but what's the life, like, how long do we expect these to last without, repair or needing replacement?
Good question. The typical lifetime is about 20 years. Provided that the squirrels don't get to them, but these should be shielded so that they don't have that.
Now, I know fiber optic is extremely fragile, but the cabling is pretty tough. Is that?
Yeah, so yes, it's a number of strands, and those strands are wrapped in a shield, and then that, I believe, is also shielded as well. So there's 3 or 4 layers that go around it and encase it. So while it seems like you would think fiber optic, it's glass, a glass strand that light travels through, should be fragile. It is bendable. It's able to be rolled, and this will be protecting it from the elements too.
And the last layer is squirrel-proof. Got it. Thank you. Appreciate that. If there are no more questions, then all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No opposed. Thank you. I think you should stick around, though, because I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the recommendation of Director of Technology Dre Grossman to award payment of $1,144,870.77 to Barton Mallow for the oversight and payment of the projects listed below. And I am going to read them. $488,356 for classroom AV replacement, adjustment of projectors, audio systems, add wireless display capabilities. $135,742.72 for replacement of cabling for display to the projectors. $155,916.86 for access control systems for the STEAM Robotics Weight Room Operations Center. Install and program door access controls for identified door in the construction of the STEAM Robotics Weight Room and Operations Center. Almost there, $310,337.53 for audio visual for the STEAM Robotics Weight Room Operations Center to include network, cabling, sound system, video display system, wireless access points, and finally, $54,517.55 for 5% contingency. Do I have a motion?
So moved, slightly revised. Under the first item, classroom AV, you said projectors, and it says projects, and I think it should be.
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you.
No, I think it actually, I think you're right. I think you verbalized it correctly.
I read it correctly.
No, so it says.
I mean.
You said it correctly.
I said it correctly.
You said it correctly, it's not written correctly.
I interpreted it, and I spit it out correctly.
That's exactly right.
Got
So
it.
if we can revise it for that one word, we're all good. And I can make the motion.
Moved, Stebbin, revised. Okay, thank you. Do I have a Brad Gerby as? What else can you tell us about this? These many projects.
So first, again, thank you all for addressing this. We invited Barton Mallow here in case there are questions for them as well. Working together, we decided to, so as part of the new bond, we have a large section set aside for doing multiple audio video projects, technology projects throughout the life of the bond. And this first part, we're going for a big portion of it right now, starting a number of things as we wanted to put together one big bid package to try and take care of all these items that we want to take over the course of the next summer, year into the fall to address all of these items. So the first, we're going to be looking at standardizing the classrooms. Our vision here is to address the audio video in the classrooms. That's getting old. We want to make it so that every classroom is essentially the same experience walking into them. So they'll all have new projectors, audio systems, ways to digitally or wirelessly project using those screen beams. We're going to do, while we're in there, we're also going to take care of the wiring to prepare for all that, to make room so that we can run this all effectively. And then during the same time, because of the construction going on for the STEAM Center, robotics, weight room, the new operations center, we're also going to be tackling all the audio, video, and access controls going on into those. So the door systems, badging, sound systems, cameras, projection, everything that's going to be involved in this. So kind of just went for it all at once and put it in one package again with the help of Barton Mallow here to write it up and go through the bids, all the interviews, everything else. More details, questions?
I do have a quick question. Are there still projectors, original projectors from when the building first opened, or have we gone through at least one replacement cycle?
I believe we've gone through at least one replacement. The ones we have right now are between 8 and 10 years old, so based on the math, I think there's been at least one or two, but there's probably a couple still that are.
And as we discussed, yeah, I'm sure some. And I'm sure we discussed this before, but they're LED now, so the lamps will last much longer. Is that right? Or they're not really called lamps anymore?
They're going to be laser.
Laser.
So they're lampless. So yes, correct. These will be the same ones that we had purchased to test out. I believe we got those in December or November. So they're 20,000 hour lampless. So we won't be having to buy lamps or bulbs anymore, which go after every few hundred hours, cost a few $100s to replace each time. These should last us, the intention is the full 10 years without replacement.
Super. Thank you. We have a question from Treasurer Gerby.
I was just wondering about accessibility in, like, I'm sure this has been thought about, but accessibility, I guess, for, you know, the controls for getting into the weight room, for using the mechanisms, I'm assuming that's all being worked in.
Yes, so a large part of our discussions for the design of all this was making sure that everything fits to ADA compliance rules. If we have to add like a wall-mounted rack, we want to make sure that it fits within the height requirements and depth requirements, similar for mounting television onto the walls in like the weight room area where we'll have a number of TVs, robotic steam. We made sure everything's going to be accessible and is going to adhere to those rules. Same thing when we're going through the classrooms. Any new construction that we do has to adhere to ADA compliance. So we're making sure if we're adding anything into the rooms that they're gonna fall within those specifications.
One item, and it's just, I would like at the very end, I think you were talking about it, I would like you to highlight about the Barton Mallow, like, how working together has been beneficial in making like a decision such as this one.
Sure. For starters, this is my first time through this, and so their help and expertise going through putting together a bond package, organizing all the bids, making sure that everything that we want as a district is answered and accounted for has been tremendously helpful, because I wouldn't have known where to gather a lot of these resources, and having the team from Barton Mallow help me make sure that our vision that we have as Saline comes together has been very helpful. Even before that, though, they helped us when we were going through the initial assessment in walking through the whole district, keeping that detailed list of everything. As we said, oh, you know, we need to replace this and this, remembering things like, oh, this building has fiber that, there's that word again, fiber, but that's older, and we're gonna need to look at replacing that within this building, but this building has newer, which can go faster. So keeping that all organized and making sure that we're addressing all of those within all of this too. So they've been a large part of that, and like I said, I could not have done it without them. Yes. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you. We'll call for the vote at this point, and unless there's someone else has something to ask, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. 7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
I just also would like to entertain a motion to approve the recommendation from Clark Construction to enter into contracts with the trade contractors as outlined in the attached memo in the amount of $13,427,161 and $50,000 for the architect permit fees to King Scott Architects as submitted by Rex Clary, Executive Director of Operations, who is now joining us at the podium. Thank you. All in favor? Do we have a motion? Who is that?
Austin.
Tim Austin, thank you.
I'll support Miller.
And Miller, thank you.
So, first I'd like to Matt to introduce himself.
Hi, Matt Walikowski, Senior Project Manager for Clark Construction. Thanks for letting me be here tonight.
So Matt is the senior project manager for Clark Construction. So to Brad's question, on every other Thursday, we meet as a team. Barton Mallow, King Scott, and Clark Construction, along with the core group and our design team, including technology. And then I think on Mondays, they meet separately without us. So they're always in communication, always talking. Barton Mallow's been a partner since 2015. King Scott and Clark, all three have been great partners throughout that process. And so tonight we're presenting the contracts for the STEAM Center and weight room, which will start effectively when you come back from spring break. They will be being moved with the contract approvals tonight. So, anything to say?
No, again, this is kind of the kickoff for the large portion of the bond, right? So this is one of the staple projects, the steam and weight room. There's some interior adding cooling to the gym. So this is exciting. It's starting, fairly quickly. But all the trade contractors we've interviewed, we go through a pretty strict pre-qualification process, and that's why we recommended everybody on that letter tonight. So just looking forward to start here.
Well, I will let them get started by making the motion. And thank you, Celine voters. I make the motion. You're going to vote. Tim motion. Dang it. Fine.
Swing and a miss, but that's okay. Are there any other questions?
No, I wasn't
Vice President Stebbin.
I was just so excited about it.
I know, we're all excited. We would like to see this move forward. I just had a logistics question because I know exactly where that construction will start after spring break, which is right next to our drop-off loop for the high school. Will there be any equipment or interference for parents and or guardians dropping off kids, picking up kids? That swim door is high traffic area.
So the swim door on the west side,
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
The front bus loop for special ed
Yeah.
and parent drop-off that forget lunches and stuff like that, yeah, effectively that will be closed on April 1st. After meeting with the high school administration, special ed, there was probably 10 people in that room. We came to the conclusion that the best way to do this is to move the attendance secretary along with some of the staff of the high school to the east entrance.
Okay.
We'll use the ticket booth possibly as a location, but we won't be able to block the exit. We are installing 2 new intercoms. So as you hit the button, you'll be able to talk directly to the intercom, to the attendance secretary for access in and out of the building.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sure you're working with that team on communication, especially for our special ed friends, because it's changing of routine and.
Yes,
Okay.
and during the summer, the pool will be available. To get to the pool will be a little bit of a trick, but we will have a pathway that's safe and maintained during the construction piece, during the periods. So.
All right, thank you.
I was just going to mention, when I graduated from high school, they were breaking ground and to redo some things in the high school that I went to and adding a new gym and all of those things. And we walked through fencing to get out onto the football field to graduate that year. And it's just pretty cool that my kids are going to be experiencing some of the same stuff as they graduate this year, and knowing that they were a part of advocating for the bond and great things for the future and the legacy that they're leaving. So it's just really cool. And I want to Jay just sat down or has left, but just the work that Jay and the work that Rex has done on this bond. And again, like Michael mentioned, cost savings, both of you have been really cognizant of that. And the teams that you're working with just are really being good stewards of the funds from our community. So I just really appreciate that. And one of the things that I was thinking about, and I know that that's not totally connected to everything in this particular letter, but I was reflecting on our meeting with the robotics teams here. And, we've had we just had the wrestling team have a pretty successful weekend. And just knowing that they're that successful now, and how much more successful are they going to be with new facilities and new innovative technology and spacing. So thank you for the work that you're doing. I think it's going to yield benefits to our community and to our students for decades.
Thank you, and I'd also like to thank Miranda. Miranda does a great job. Kara leading the design with the staff and the teachers, and then Superintendent Lodge as well. So the core group has really done a great job of stepping in and attending meetings and being present in those meetings.
And Jackie on the PR, all of you, really, everyone is stepping up, building principals, teachers and coaches who are going to be impacted with this. And I want to just highlight the partnerships that all of you have made with the professionals in the industry so that we can do things in a cost-effective way. Thanks.
So I think it's time to put this to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Thank you very much, team. Appreciate that. Last motion is to accept the recommendation of L'Ecole Planners to approve the project contingency allocation to the Operations Center as submitted by Rex Clary, Executive Director of Operations. The contingency request is $1,600,000.
Then I better make this one. Gerby.
Brad Gerby moves.
Support, Eastep.
Susan Eastep supports. What can you tell us about this that we don't already know?
So this is an ask from June. We had it on the agenda for our budget, but we never did the official action item. So this is an ask from June. So to date, with tonight's approval, you've approved $12.2 million roughly for the Operations Center on a budget that was originally set for 14.2. So we're still $2 million under the initial budget, which was $1.5 million under the original budget. So we're to the good. A couple, almost $3 million right now. And so I know we've had a bunch of, like tonight we did one bid pack for Clark Construction. We've done multiple bid packs. So I just wanted to let you know that we're still significantly under budget and we're still in the right direction. So.
Well, thank you very much. Any questions? Then we're going to take a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Say nay. All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Rex, for your time. We have two scheduled reports, and I'm going to ask the safety and security team to make their way to the podium.
Good evening. I suppose we should introduce ourselves before we jump in. So Jackie Martin, Executive Director of Communications and Community Relations. Oh, thank you.
Hi again, Jay Grossman, Director of Technology.
And Rex Clary, Executive Director of Operations.
So due to recent staffing changes and such, the three of us are sort of the three-headed monster that are trying to tackle the safety and security updates for the district. And it is very much a team effort. So I appreciate all of everyone's contributions. Before we get started tonight, we did want to take a moment to acknowledge that today marks 1 year since the act of violence at Michigan State University's campus. While this presentation was certainly not timed to reflect this somber anniversary, it certainly serves as a reminder of the importance of this work and the gravity of these responsibilities. So I'd like to take a moment of silence to honor the 3 lives lost and acknowledge the many individuals, many of whom have ties to this community, that were impacted by this tragedy. Thank you. Today we're all Spartans. With that, I'm going to let Rex lead it off.
So, as Jackie said, it truly is a team effort. I want to thank Jay and Jackie for jumping in on this, and especially Jackie. She's taken a lot of time and effort to schedule and lead these discussions. With the internal safety and security team, which meets monthly, we have our interdisciplinary safety and security team that's meeting every other month. We've added administrative team meetings. So our administration, before we'd have an agenda item, now we're meeting once a month for an hour dedicated to safety and security. Over the last 2 weeks, we've met with building leaders to talk about their drills, their debriefs, their meetings, what kind of training is taking place. And we've quickly realized that on safety and security, we're more of a district of schools and not a school district. So we want to bring everything together under one umbrella and put everybody on the same page. Yes, it's got to be age appropriate for the K-12 classrooms, but yet we want everybody on the same page. And we want to be able to support them because sometimes they feel like they're not supported developing that safety and security protocols for their facilities. And then it takes everyone. It's a total team effort, families, visitors, I want to thank the visitors and the families for adhering to our policy of the background checks, having patience, having their driver's license, making sure they go through that process and not finding a way around it. They've been great, so I want to thank them. Next slide, please. So this is our internal team members. It's made up of 10 SAS staff, 2 SROs, Don Lupi, Karen Hervey, of course, is on there. There's some operations staff on there. We meet once a month. We go over a set agenda. We kind of look at our facilities to see where our issues are or new technology that's out there with Jay, and kind of figure out what's our next steps and what we need to address in that time frame. And then our interdisciplinary team members, it's the who's who in Pittsfield Township and the city of Saline. We got the fire chiefs. We're also adding the Washtenaw County Emergency Management Representative. We hope to enlist them to help with our new command center. So at the new operations center, we will have a command center for video and access controls.
In addition to those teams at the building level, we certainly rely on medical emergency response teams, previously called first response teams at our building levels. These folks are trained by our district nurse in CPR and AED, first aid, Narcan, stop the bleed, epinephrine administration, and they conduct drills related to medical and emergency responses as well. And then we also have student behavior response teams, which are our staff that are trained in nonviolent crisis intervention. So these are important when teams are called. These teams are called when a student may be dysregulated and needs some additional support within our buildings.
So some of the objectives we've done have been to improve safety and security, have been to install our Informacast emergency alert notification system. We were able to combine funding from the Michigan State Police Grant, safety and security grants, and we were able to install the system throughout the entire district now. It is operational in all 7 buildings. We utilize and test the system during the drills so that students and staff are able to see what it's actually like to be in a lockdown and what it would look like. When we were installing this, we tried to keep in mind our diverse population of staff and students. So we designed this system so that it would do audio alerts, text messaging, different delivery with strobe lights where we have it set even so that for our colorblind students, the left one is what means the emergency, the right one is what means all clear. Red is emergency, blue is all clear. We tried to address as many different ways to get the message out as possible. This system now simultaneously not only notifies district admin, first responders, but also Saline and Pittsfield Police. So we put in a big effort towards this, and thank you all for helping me get that on board too. Other system we've installed this year, starting this summer, we did a full forklift of our camera system, and we have upgraded all of our cameras. We now have over 540 different camera angles, with a couple more being added throughout the district. That's about a 200 camera increase. Primarily, we're using them to review footage after an event has occurred. This has been used for things like damage to school property, student altercations, loss of district property. A big one that we use is actually to help locate students that have maybe eloped from classrooms longer than they need to be, and we can quickly spot them. It's one of the biggest reasons we've gotten it, and speaking with administrators today, even who have backed me up on this, it is very user-friendly. Administrators love being able to access it remotely. They have commented on the time savings, not having to come to the school district at night and on the weekends to spend time reviewing footage, that they can do this from anywhere. Again, just today they mentioned it's cut down the time to find an event that's happened by about, their words were 90%. As Rex mentioned, we're building a command center. All of this footage is going to be focused and able to be watched in that command center with dynamic monitoring for the high traffic areas. So we're able to act on alert notifications if somebody goes into a room that they're not supposed to be, give that advanced warning. It's also going to be tied into Informacast with lines to every building. So the idea is somebody can be in that center watching everything on the cameras, having a line to both first responding, emergency responders, as well as the buildings, and provide that up to the second communication while we're, if we're in an event. So those were 2 of our pieces, and then the third one is also with Verkada. We also installed this year, we upgraded our visitor management system. So now we're using Verkada to get into all of our buildings. It's used daily in all 7 of our buildings. And we had mentioned earlier the real-time scan of identification. Now we're able to do this before you actually enter the building, so keep you in the vestibule while we're able to go through that security scan and increase the safety in our schools. Once you've gone through that scan, it gives you a badge that has a computer-generated photo of your driver's license so we can easily identify you. And then another really helpful item with this is it's not just for entering the building for a single use. We can customize this. We have customized this at each building to do multiple uses. So, visitors, but not only that, but students signing in and out. We've used it for field trips and chaperones for them to do scans so we can pre-screen them in an efficient manner before allowing and inviting these parents on our trips.
And currently right now in the Operations Center, we do have live streaming screens. We have 2, I believe they have 12 cameras up, so they're always changing to movement. I want to introduce Cody Picard. Cody Picard is the new facility manager. He sits with, along with Chuck McCullough in that office, and a lot of them in there quite a bit to view that. Possible grant funding for the safety and security. This team that we put together, we were successful enough to get almost $250,000 in the Michigan State Police grant. We're still always looking at that with the 97C grants. We're getting proposals right now so we can submit on that one. Miranda and Kara have done an excellent job with the 31AA on the Motorola repeater at the installation at the high school, trauma kits. Yes, Karen Harvey is very much a part of this, and she's a very vocal piece of this group as well. And then expanded coverage for Informacast. So one of the things that this group first started meeting was because we were all applying for these grants separately, and we said, well, let's combine our resources. And that's really done a really good things for Saline area schools.
In addition to those things, we're conducting a policy review. So we owe to you all by July 1st a review of our updated emergency operations plan. And so we're just trying to do our due diligence, to do our research, to learn what is happening in buildings as we're all new leaders of this team. Is that reflective of what's in writing, both at the school level and at the district level? And so we're learning a lot from a lot of conversations. We're meeting with all 7 buildings, and we're about 3/4 of the way through those conversations at this moment. In addition, we're learning so much through those conversations, and mostly I wanted to take a moment to commend all of our building level administrators who take this work very seriously, ask really good questions, and serve as really key leaders in all of this work. So they're not part of this leadership team, but they are very much a part of this bigger picture. So we're working on that. We're also refreshing, making sure that we have reunification plans and agreements that are updated and in place, and we understand that means like there might be community partners that have said that if we need to evacuate a building, that we are welcome to send our students to their facilities. So we're making sure that not only we have a written agreement from, say, 2014, that we're updating those, but we also know how to access the building. We have keys, we have after-hours contacts and things like that. Additionally, we practice. So beyond our written policies, we're conducting regular drills in our buildings. Of course, we're meeting the required state mandates for drills. Beyond those fire, tornado, and security drills, we're also doing cardiac and medical emergency drills because we are recognized as a heart-safe school district. Karen is working diligently to extend those medical emergency trainings to additional staff so that there's more people that are trained in those situations. As she's also working on securing more trauma kits, she wants more staff trained in Stop the Bleed as well. And we're looking into tabletop scenario training with administrators both within this district and with our neighboring districts so that we can really practice and walk through situations and see what we can learn on a collective basis. And then we're making sure that we're leaning into district-wide professional development to start off the year. We're trying to better understand what schools are doing at the building level, but then we want to really make sure that we're providing some district-level guidance to that as well. Additionally, Rex, Jay, and I are all going to the Michigan School Safety Academy in March, hosted by the Michigan State Police Office of School Safety. So we're all leaning into this work. We've got a lot to learn, but we're doing it together as a team. So. that's it for our presentation. We're happy to entertain any questions that you all may have.
Before we take questions, I did want to comment. I really appreciate your concern and concentration on the diversity and different responses and warning systems out there. So I did appreciate that. I hadn't thought of it at the time, but I'm constantly aware of it now. Thank you. Anyone? Miller then Gold, or Gold then Miller?
Okay. I have a few things because this is near and dear to my heart. Thank you for doing this work. It's really important. I wanted to talk about prevention and mental health prevention. I noticed that there is the nonviolent behavioral intervention team, but there's nobody really with that expertise sitting in your focus group that I could tell. Like, one of the things that I find really challenging is in the idea of prevention is identifying the severity of threats. And I'm just wondering if the training and if we have someone with psychological expertise to help, and I'm not, of course we have our professional educators, but to help with threat assessments there, or if we have somebody with that kind of expertise who's in that group, because nobody really jumped out at me as a prevention specialist in terms of mental health and how kids are at risk. I'm guessing that the police have some training, et cetera. So is there a way to have like a speaker or?
It's a really great point, and I think we're actually evaluating the representatives that serve on our internal team. So I think that's a great suggestion and something that we should go back to as we think to add others.
Yep. And this was, we did offer training through Carol Melcher. Her and Lindsay, along with Megan DeGrand, teamed up and did some training with the threat assessment piece after what we went through last spring at the high school. So that was an area we addressed this summer, but it was not included in that, so.
Yeah, I think that's great. That's exactly the kind of thing. It's like, when, as a parent, when all of that happened, and as a board member, when it came, there's reassurance that the people who understand how to assess threats did so, but I don't even have a great understanding of how that expertise, I'm sure it comes from a psychological level and the police level and forensics, et cetera, but it seems like to me like that's important kinds of drills and scenarios to run through. So that was one question that I had. And then my other question is, like, we're responsible for our students in places other than here. And so if Nurse Harvey has any need for more Stop the Bleed and AEDs, et cetera, I'm in full support of that, and whatever we can do as a board, I would be very much in favor of, because I'm wondering how much of our crisis responses travel with our students when they're competing in orchestra, cheer, band, they're all over the place. And some schools don't have the kind of awesome planning that we do, or we're out at different places. And I would be curious to hear how we talk about keeping kids safe when they're under our care off campus.
Yeah, it's a great point, and I want to say that athletics and community ed were both really excited that these conversations were happening and wanted to come to all 7 of these building conversations. So we said, let us talk about what happens during the school day in each building to start, and then we're going to circle back and have those conversations with them as well. I think that we'll learn a lot from that conversation at that juncture as well.
So I am really excited to hear you say that. And so this Michigan School Safety Academy came across my purview a week ago. I sent it over to Steve. And thank you so much for attending. And here are some of the things that it says that they will be exploring. It says attendees will explore a comprehensive series of school safety topics, including childhood trauma, sextortion, behavioral threat and assessment and management, digital threat assessment, facilities assessment, legal considerations, mental health first aid, incident command, reunification, I Love You Guys Foundation, and Stop the Bleed. So I thought that might.
2 full days.
So who
Those
all
are
is?
2 full days.
So it's the 3 of you going?
Yes.
And any of the administration,
As long as somebody
or?
doesn't get called to jury
Yes.
duty.
Awesome. Thank you for doing that. That's great.
Just a couple things I wanted to say again, like not to call anyone out, but just to say that it is not lost on me that as other school districts are getting new tools, we're replacing those tools with the next best thing, like Verkada, for example. And so I just feel like there's a layer of safety here and a layer of forethought that is really incredible. So thank you for that. In terms of the question that Lauren just brought up, just something to look into. I know that the WISD has recently had some training on behavioral threat assessments, partnering with a lot of school psychologists and social workers. So there's potentially some people here in the district who attended that, who could be add their expertise or have attended something similar in the past. And also, the county is really tapping into the resource of community mental health. So partnering, I know that that organization tends to be stretched thin, but they have been a big support for me professionally, anyways, with some because I work in a public school. So enough said. I wondered if you might be able to, and if you can't, because if we know too much, then we know too much. But I saw on their gun detection software with the security systems, and I just wondered what that entails, or as much as you can tell us.
Happy to address that. So, or what I can tell you on that. So with one of the rising things that's coming out there now is that there are systems out there that can notify you. They are gun detection systems, so it's not sound, but it's a picture. And what these systems do are they monitor your camera feed, and then it goes to a live team who review pictures of these, and are supposed to be able to notify you within 6 seconds, they actually state, without false positives. And they are sending you screenshots of a person with a shooter with a gun, where they're drawing boxes around this, identifying this, and helping you alert the whole system. They work with you through the whole process, so they're sending alerts to your command center, notifying the authorities, getting everything done so you can focus on safety there. And so one of the grants that's going on right now is allowing school districts to tap into funding to help bring that into our system, so we could integrate that into some of our cameras that we already have.
Whoops, I was picturing some infrared or something that you would see on like Mission Impossible or something. So I was like, what is this? So that's helpful to know.
It's like a picture, but it'll have like the boxes drawn out, so it'll kind of look like that. But
yeah, absolutely incredible. And then the last thing that I just wanted to say is, I know you gave her a lot of shout outs, but the preparation and the training that Karen Hervey provides, I just want to say I witnessed a team saving a life. They absolutely 100% saved the life of a child in a PE class. And so I just want to say that we're being proactive and we're being preventative, but it matters and it's important, and it has happened where we have needed that here in our schools. And so just shout out to Karen Hervey. She is, there's no one like her. So we're really lucky to have her on staff. So thank you to Karen and to all of you on the team.
Thank you all.
I'd like to ask Dr. Lodge has a quick comment, and I want to address something as well. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I just want to respond to the AI technology in gun detection software. A concern I have is that we want to be proactive with exploring these possibilities, but this is very expensive, and if it's funded by a safety and security grant, we're going to have to consider what happens when those funds disappear, because to some degree, we want to be as preventative as possible, but this is very expensive technology. So we're going to be considering that moving forward.
And just a quick note to our newest board member, and returning board member, when we do our in-depth review of the Emergency Operation Plan, the EOP, we go into closed session, at which point then Mr. Grossman can talk about the things that he can't talk about at this public session, public facing. Thank you. Jennifer.
Thanks. So a couple of things. So obviously, thank you for acknowledging today and the anniversary and the fact that we are talking about this today. Just with the comment about safety off campus, and Lauren, thank you for bringing those two things up, because both assessing threats from the psychological perspective is very important, as is off campus. We have a ton of students off campus at any given time. So I understand that you had mentioned that you'd like to circle back. I think it's vital that Brian Puffer and Ashley Mantha are involved in these meetings. So I'd like to understand what an update is to that in the more immediate term before July. And then the second thing, just following up on Lauren's good comment, I did a very quick Google search because I remembered a center at the University of Michigan that specializes in what she was discussing. And it is housed at the University of Michigan School of Public Health. It's the National Center for School Safety. We happen to have it housed in Ann Arbor. So they offer trainings in a lot of these regards, I think, including threat assessment. So I think our public health friends over in Ann Arbor would be very helpful in additional training, because some of the people that were mentioned, while great administrators, this is not their subject matter expertise. So going to the people who do this nationally, I think, is a real benefit we have in being next door to the greatest university in the world. I'm kidding. But this is literally in our backyard. So I would suggest looking into that.
And I do need, Carol Melcher is on our internal team currently, has been a staple in that team for a long time, and is well trained in threat assessment. She and Lindsay Gunther Gettner have led that efforts throughout the district. So we're circling back. We're being challenged to make sure that that language related to threat assessment is included in our emergency operations plan. So we are kind of taking existing resources and documenting a policy and a process to them. So it's on the table as a thing we're actively working on as well.
You had mentioned the safety grants, and I know that we have that, but I know worked into the budget and possibly more, hopefully in this budget that's been proposed, that there's an additional $109 per pupil that's given to the district. So I'm curious if you all have been able to talk about those funds, or what that's been put towards.
Not at this time. Not at this time. Not in relationship to these conversations, but thanks.
Okay. It's specifically about improving safety. So, and then, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I think, thank you for asking the mental health component and trainings associated with that. I think we could do a lot more training in the schools. Maybe not, just your administrators, but inside the classrooms, about, responses and how to handle some of those things, and what's appropriate and what's not appropriate in your response, and assessing that, threat, the threat assessment in the classroom. So, things can happen anywhere, in the school. So it's good to have, I think, everyone in the district trained and, ready at any time.
Just to speak on that real quick, I do know that from some of our interviews where we've met with some of the schools, and again, we have not finished talking with all of them, but each one of them has, one of our questions has come up with how they conduct training for their staff and students in the schools, and a lot of them address how their teachers are addressing that, working with their students to go over that, at least in the beginning of the year, to go over those rules, practice it, mentioning going out in the high school and finding where their spot is during the drill, so that they know where they're supposed to go for their hours. I was pleasantly surprised at a lot of the answers we got addressing that, but I do agree, continued practice on that is definitely something we want to work on.
And I encourage you all to seek outside support on the mental health and training component as well, and continuing those best practices, because I'm sure things are changing, and more support that is occurring, and so that's really helpful.
Thank you. I don't think there are any other, oh, we have one more thing.
Yeah, I just, as Trustee Eastup was talking, and I really think that just like we go to Barton Mallow for expertise outside of, and we were highlighting how in construction it's really important to have expertise. I think I'd really would like to see a real focus on expertise. I understand the expertise of our educators and the police, et cetera, but there is a sort of very specific type of expertise that it seems to me is changing all the time as the world changes. And I think if that needs to be funded, if we need to support it, if we need to push for it, it's really important, not only to prevent, a safety, a behavioral threat, but also so that we're not overstating a threat and we're not punishing students for being ill or having trouble. So on both sides of that, and it's difficult, and I think sometimes these sort of quote unquote softer sciences, it's not quite as easy to see as the expertise that it takes to like figure out fiber optics, which is also important. But it's striking to me that I am not hearing a lot about that kind of expertise in the group that we're seeking, and I think that is really something to look for when you're looking to expand the team. And maybe I'm just not hearing it, and I'm not downing anyone's. I'm just saying this is really hard, really challenging work, and whatever we could do to support. I mean, that's a great idea that we have U of M. I mean, I know people, like there are people involved in this, and I'm glad that you're going to the, to that training. And if you come back and ask us, like, we do need these kind of funds, or there are things to be done, I would be, really in support of that moving forward, because I think this is our greatest charge for the kids in this community.
So currently we do use Secure Education Consultants. I believe they changed their name recently. I don't know about the mental health piece with that group, but they're the ones who kind of sign off on all of our processes and protocols as far as safety and security within the buildings, physical, and in that regard. So
do they come in July?
they can, but they did their facility assessments, the safety and security. We've partnered with them since 2015 with our vestibule designs. So, but again, the mental health piece, I don't know what they do and offer as far as services.
Dr. Lodge?
Yeah, in response to threat assessment, we've also had discussions with our team, specifically Carol and Lindsay, who are helping to head out that work. We want that to be a consistent process, and one of the key things that we need to be doing is making sure that our staff knows who all has been trained in threat assessment, because we have a lot of people in the district that know how to do that. Our social workers, our counselors, administrators, and therefore we want the classroom teachers to know you have a lot of go-to people to get to right away if you suspect that there are mental health concerns for any of our students, and that will help grow that network. The other thing that I've tried to say over and over again is I'm really proud of our community, because so often we do hear that, another student reports to our high school administration, hey, it seems this student seems off, or they haven't been going to class, or there's some sort of strange behavior. And then we get parents and community members calling us and telling us that same thing, because I really do feel strongly like that's our best way to work together as a community as it relates to supporting our kids' mental health when we see things that look out of ordinary. And we feel very supported with our community with that. So anyway, it's just something to add.
If I could say, 2 years ago, we had a threat assessment protocol reviewed with us by Holly Haviland of WISD. I'm going to try and get a copy of that for all of us. I'll pass it along for your reading enjoyment. If there's no, If there are no more comments.
I will just, Michael, I
Tim.
just want to say, we talked, you had mentioned Informicast and some communication pieces, and you also brought up Michigan State. And I think as a parent that kind of went through the Michigan State situation, one thing that we talked about a lot was how important it was and how happy we were with Michigan State and how they communicated to the parents and the students during that situation. And I think it's vitally important, and I'm glad we're investing in that too.
So thank you so much for your time and effort, and then keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to turn the microphone over to Treasurer Gerby, who's going to do what he claims is a brief summary of the.
So first of all, I'm pivoting. Mr. Goodman, you should know that I'm pivoting on the fly. Because I've got some updated and different numbers. So let's just have me say those out loud, okay? Actually, the first slide I'd like you to put up would be the big chart, like the one that looks like this. So in front of every trustee, you have, so we covered a few things at finance today, and I guess I'll try to be brief about those. So in front of you and now on the screen for our viewing public here, like I want everyone to just understand, we have a brand new team, a new committee, and the reality for us is we're a $77 million organization. Now, some of that is pass-through money and all of that, but long story short, we are the stewards of a $77 million budget. It's we are a significant employer of individuals, families, we educate kids, like we do a lot. So I want you to understand the totality of our budget, okay? So most people hear about the general fund, and that's the majority of our money, and we're gonna talk in a minute about the general fund is basically student count times per pupil funding allowance, right? And so that's where that money comes from. But then you could see some of the other things that we're stewards of too, which is like special revenue funds, which is community ed and CARES and food service and the consortium and student activity funds. And then there's this private purpose trust. And then there are these debt funds, right? And then the one tonight that we got to access a lot is capital project funds, and that's the bond and sinking funds, et cetera. So one of the things that that was the first thing we did, was just we took a look at that and we said, okay, we're the stewards of all of that. And when I say we, I mean mostly Miranda. But but long story short, like this is our charge, right? Is to make sure that we spend that $77 million in the most responsible way that we can to educate kids. So that was the first thing we did today. The second thing that we did today is there are some things that are starting to come into play and into light. And so I talked about per pupil funding allowance. And I guess what I would tell you is this. First of all, I need to tell you, I'm going to give you a proposed number, but a proposed number is just that, a proposed funding increase. And that proposed funding increase for this upcoming year is $241 per student, okay? That is the proposal. Now, what I like about that is I like the fact that it's moving us in a positive direction, right? So it's generally saying that the budget and it also says to me that the education portion, the school aid portion, is going to be prioritized, and kids are going to be prioritized. So that's a 2.5% increase. And then some other things that are like highlights for me, but again, I need to tell you that like this is very much like a horse trading thing, right? Like so some things that kind of stuck out for me. Governor Whitmer seems to be incredibly still committed to preschool and for 4-year-olds. And so she wants to eliminate income gaps income caps on those things, okay? And on the access to that for 4-year-olds. The creation of the Michigan Guarantee, which is a $30 million outlay, and what that would do is it would make community colleges for 2 years free to high school graduates, right? Like to me, that's something worth doing there. You know, there's some childcare increases. There's, okay, here's the one that's popular. That's in the proposed budget. Proposed, parents. The food and, the breakfast and lunch support for students would continue in her proposed budget. So that's a good thing. And there's some other things about teacher development and student, teacher stipends and that kind of thing. So what I guess I would say to you is the budget is a work in progress, but the thing I'm taking out of it is that it looks like it's going to be a positive thing from a standpoint of we should have a per pupil increase. All right, so there is that. Enrollment. So second Wednesday in February is quote unquote spring count day in February. And we are still in line and on track with our 23-24 budget numbers. That now we are anticipating that we will do a dive at our next meeting in March into like an amended budget though for our you know, we're kind of halfway through the school year. It's a good time for us to take a look at those kinds of things. So that was on our agenda as well. We talked a little bit about school of choice. I believe that's going to come to the totality of the board. We had said February 27th. Is that still going to be? Is that the time for that, Dr. Lodge? Okay, so February 27th, we're going to bring a discussion around strategy for school of choice, okay? And so that is going to happen. And then we talked about our goals and ideas for 2024. It was a pretty packed meeting, and we still believe that it is in the best interest of our district to pursue the reality of our enrollment and our budget, right? So I still think that there's value in us looking at how do we equate those two things, and that means that I would still recommend that we pursue the $1 million goal or target, and then. Let's see, and I had one other item. Oh, about bond progress and update. You've heard repeatedly about stewardship of funds and that kind of thing. And Dr. Lotch was saying like when they are making decisions about the operations center, that kind of thing. I know for a fact that someone like Mr. Clary is saying, boy, we're over budget there, but we're going to get under budget over here, you know, and they're just being incredibly cognizant of the decisions we make. I heard Mr. Grossman tonight being incredibly cognizant of the responsibility to our taxpayers. So anyway, that's a pretty full meeting, and I am just so excited to lead that team again this year. Any questions?
No questions, apparently. Board and administration updates. I'm going to do the air traffic control here. I'm going to start with Superintendent Lodge. I'm going to pivot over to our student representatives. Then we're going to start at the far end of the table, go all the way over to Mr. Austin, and I'm going to do the anchor leg, and then we'll get on to the consent agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let me start with saying that one of our families this past week had a tragedy, a fire that burnt down a lot, if not all of their home, and we were really fortunate that nobody was hurt. But I, again, am so impressed at how incredibly generous and supportive our families are of other families in the community. So within 2 days, they had a GoFundMe set up with a goal of raising $20,000. Last I checked, it was at $23,665. And, okay, $24,000 now. It's just, I mean, this community just really goes above and beyond to support people in need, and it's great, very impressive. I also want to point out that last night, Kara and I visited EMU, actually downtown Ypsilanti at Ann Arbor Spark, where we got to learn about the EMU Invent team from Ypsilanti that's consisting, and this is part I find very impressive, of a couple Saline students, Alice Jiang and Suhani Dilale, but also Ann Arbor Pioneer student Ypsilanti student, a Lincoln student, a student from the ECA, and a student from Clarenceville, which was near Livonia. Anyway, this impressive team is working on an invention to try to help people with limited mobility to move or change positions. And the part I love about this is they're going to visit seniors at Story Point, the Saline Senior Center, the Dexter Senior Center, to learn more about the users that would potentially use this invention. The teams received a $4,000 scholarship from MIT through this Lemelson grant, MIT Lemelson grant. They're going to need a lot more money, though, because they're fundraising to go to MIT in June to present their invention. They're one of 8 teams across the United States that are going to do this work. And again, I look at this and I say, okay, this is what the Saline Area Schools Compass is all about. I mean, they're taking every single skill you could wrap up in there and figure out how to make that work. So just very impressed. I love how it's a couple of our Saline students, but again, kids from across Washtenaw County and even one into Livonia area. So very impressive. And then again, more impressive news. I mentioned in the board update that our Ethics Bowl team won the state championship. They're competing right now against Maryland, the champion from Maryland. We're hoping they do well. And we're going to be honoring them at a March board meeting. And then finally, I'm just hoping some of you will join myself and Laura, who are going to be going to the Foundation for Saline Area Schools event, Blue Jeans and Bling, March 9th at the Sheridan Hotel. We think it's going to be a lot of fun. This one's got some fun events planned. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, just one update tonight. So the high school has had a super fun week with Valentine's Day stuff. Lots of clubs and organizations taking advantage of it. Writing centers doing letters, choirs doing a performance for all the freshmen during Hornet Time. And then NHS is doing flowers for the banquet to raise money for the banquet. So it's just been a super fun week to look forward to all the Valentine's Day stuff.
And along with Valentine's Day, it means winter sports are coming to an end, unfortunately. So we have hockey, basketball, gymnastics, along with other sports going into playoffs. So we're looking forward to see how each team and club and organization does with that. Along with, we'd like to recognize FFA and their previous competition regional thing and everybody that competed and did well in that.
I feel like I can hardly keep up with all the awards that our students are winning. I did especially note the ethics team state championship and competing against Maryland. And I think that's really just a pretty amazing event. So congrats to them. And I noticed we had a district champion wrestler and the choir, and I can't keep track of it all, but I also wanted to highlight that it is Black History Month this month. So there have been so many contributions by Black Americans in this country, in this state. And, the reason that we identify that group of people by color of skin and not saying, whichever country they came from, like we might call me like a Slovak American or somebody a Polish American, is that a lot of times people's country of origin was taken from them. So that's a piece of their personal history as a community that was taken when they were, historically brought here against their will. So sometimes I think that's something people don't always understand about why we celebrate and honor Black History Month, which was first set out in 1926. So I would like to highlight the contributions of Black Americans and shout out to our Black educators and students. This month, this particular one is focusing on healthcare in Black communities and healthcare providers. And there are too many amazing Black physicians and nurses that I've learned from over the years to call out here, but it is really important that we understand how healthcare and education can be proportionate based on opportunities over many years. So I'm glad that we have an opportunity to honor the good, of which there is many, and the not so great of our country and our community. And I'm shouting that out this month.
So a couple of things. So I know we talked about being like the heart healthy and on the safety update. Woodland Meadow and maybe other schools are doing this, but the Kids Heart Challenge. And so the kids are doing Finn's mission, which is to help kids with special hearts and teach as many people as possible the life-saving skills of hands-on CPR and the warning signs of a stroke. My child's come home and multiple times already this month and talking about her heart and her sister's heart. Her youngest sister was born at 23 and a half weeks gestation. So yes, she did have heart problems. So we've, been able to communicate that. And so I love talking about those things and see, that learning, that passion and learning going on and being able to utilize that is good. This week, it was mentioned earlier about bowling, and I believe you went there. But the Saline Middle School PALS Club, one of my children was able to participate at the Station 300, and it was so packed. I think they overbooked. I think your son was there too. They overbooked because they had the Connecting Club and PALS there as well. And so I saw kind of some intermingling with, the different groups as well. There was lots of energy, and it looked like all the kids were having fun. So that was a great opportunity. I wanted to mention that I'm thankful that we passed the resolution on gun safety and gun safe storage. I know it was mentioned tonight about the MSU anniversary. And this past week, we learned that in the state of Michigan, and it probably will have a national impact, but parents can be held responsible for the kids' actions. And I think this gun safe storage and all of these laws that have been passed and going into effect in Michigan is a positive thing that we're being proactive on that. I wanted to mention wish people a happy Chinese New Year. I was told that when I came in and wished a happy New Year, so I wanted to say that. And Black History Month as well. I would love to know what the district buildings and at the classroom level, what is going on, how the curriculum this month is being inclusive, but how we work towards this curriculum and recognition of Black history. And it's so important. Again, I talk about nationwide, like what's going on, and sort of like the censorship things that are going on. I know I had heard a story just this past week with notifying parents about Black history, so they could be able to opt out of it, right? And so I think, us as a board and board members across the country and voters have a responsibility to stand up and watch for those things to protect our nation's history, because Black history is American history.
Okay. Well, while we're saying a few things about Black History Month, Lauren is right. It was established as Black History Week in 1926. Interestingly enough, Michigan's own President Ford was the person who brought it to the national level to make it a month of celebration and recognition. So kind of a nice local story, just that I'd add on there. Today was our monthly meeting for the Foundation for Saline Area Schools. I wanted to amplify a couple of things that Sarah and Grace, the student representatives to the foundation, mentioned this morning that I thought were really impactful. Of course, this is the first time that Saline Ethics Bowl has won states. I heard that mentioned a couple of times ago. I hope that they're doing well tonight and making it to nationals in April. And DECA is sending 20 to states. As Mateo and Caroline, I think, highlighted, we are in championship season, and Grace brought that up this morning as well. So if I forgot anybody, you two please check me. I'd like to make sure that we congratulate all of our teams: swim and dive, skiing, hockey, wrestling, basketball, bowling, gymnastics, and cheer. Maybe a little tiny special shout out to competitive varsity cheer. They won first place 3 times in the last 2 weeks. I've spent a lot of nights in bleachers. So special little mom shout out to them. The foundation is one of the committees that we decided we would, I'll go as much as I can, but work responsibilities make it a little bit challenging to be at that meeting every month. So I mentioned that to them today, and that I would always try to be there when I could, and then encourage anyone on the board to go. And their next meeting is March 12th at 7:30 a.m. If anyone would like to join them and have that opportunity, it should be everyone in a good mood, because March 9th is blue jeans and bling. I wore a little bling tonight to talk about that. Tickets are available for the next few weeks. You can sit 8 people at a table. You can buy individual tickets. And what I told Stacy Rumsa this morning that I would do is I'm going to challenge each of you. So Lauren, Susan, Michael, Jenny, Brad, and Tim, I would like for you to minimally talk about the Blue Jeans and Bling event with 10 people that you haven't already mentioned it to see if they are able and willing to join us on March 9th. Caroline and Mateo, if you can please tell your parents and then ask them to help amplify the word. And I already know Dr. Latch is going, so thank you for his continued support of the Foundation for Saline Area Schools. The only other thing that I was going to mention is because I have been, this comp cheer season, been in so many different schools across southeastern lower Michigan. I just wanted to make sure that everyone understands what a wonderful job our students and staff do when they're on the road. They are excellent, excellent ambassadors for the school district. I obviously am always wearing the Saline gear when I enter these buildings, and I am consistently pulled aside and asked about our programs. I've been asked about special education. Music came up last night at Lincoln. It's just really out there, the excellence that we have in the school district. So thank you very much.
Okay, so in response to Jennifer's challenge, I'm going to say that I am hoping to be at the State Swim and Dive meet on March 9th, so I won't be in attendance. However, my husband and I are always in support of the work that the Saline Foundation for Saline Area Schools does. And having been a recipient of grants from them when I was a teacher here, I know how important their work can be and meaningful it is for our students. So so for those of you who heard March 9th and can't attend because maybe you'll be at the State Swim and Dive meet or something else, I would like to remind you that you can donate to the Foundation for Saline Area Schools. And there is also typically a silent auction that you can participate in. So watch for those links and items to come up, and you can participate even if you can't be there, like the Millers will be. So speaking of that, I wanted to just say I really have been enjoying the superintendent, I don't know, what are you calling it? Recognition, superintendent recognition. And because of the communication snafu, I would love it if the soccer team, even though we acknowledged them tonight, if they came to another meeting to get a picture because it has been so meaningful to all of us. And I know we want as many of our students to be recognized as possible. So thank you to Dr. Lotch for starting that. It's been a highlight for me as a board member this year. I also wanted to say thank you to the athletic department. They do something really special for the athletes who are moving on from high school athletics to the collegiate level. And they do an official signing day, and they do it for all levels, every division. Were you going to say something? You want to say it? No, go ahead. Why don't you jump in?
It was just super cool to see two of my teammates sign, Ella Talladay and Megan Klauser. So it was super cool to just see my grade do it, and I'm super proud of seeing those girls through their 4 years. So.
Go field hockey. Yay. A D1 and D2 signing from field hockey. And so really, really exciting having a field hockey daughter myself who's playing field hockey in college. That was exciting to see. My son got to sign for his next steps at Youngstown State in dive. And the event that I think Tiffany Harris is really the muscle behind that. She really, it's so well organized and so well done. So thank you to Athletic Director Mantha and Assistant Athletic Director Pike, and to Coordinator Tiffany Harris for the efforts that they make on those special days. So Tran was there, so there's been pictures, and I think there'll be videos and all sorts of things. So thank you for organizing that. In addition to highlights from athletics, and I know we've all been like shouting out athletics, and Jennifer mentioned, but I saw a flood of social media posts around music, and I think every post that I saw had superior ratings for our musicians, and it just speaks to the caliber of the music opportunities that happen within the school day, but also in extracurricular, and the students who are going on to study in performing arts beyond high school is also always a really high number. And so congratulations to all of those kids and to those teachers and accompanists and private teachers, all of those people. And then to the kids who maybe aren't involved in sports or music, there are other things that they're doing. So one of the things that my kids participated in, and the reason why I'm saying this is because I want to give a shout out to Ben. Thank you for attending the Connecting Club assembly that was done for the 9th graders and recording that for parents who weren't in the room so we could see that. I know Mateo was on the stage. Carolyn, were you on the stage too? No, okay, I couldn't remember. But Mateo was there, I know, as a part of Connecting, and really just another opportunity to promote inclusivity and inclusion opportunities for students. So it was mostly, I think, Mateo, correct me if I'm wrong, juniors and seniors who were introducing the idea of Connecting Club and the Connecting class to the freshman class in advance of scheduling coming up this spring, but also not saying not just to wait for those opportunities, but to be proactive and connect with your peers and with your classmates beginning that day. So thank you to Ben for recording that so I could see the kids in action, and I appreciate. My kids came home and said, "Mr. Williams said to tell you he's making a video," so thank you. I appreciate it. And that's what I have. We have a busy month coming up with the policy committee, so we'll be sharing some updates with that soon. Thank you.
All right. I have at least one player that I'll make show up for that picture. So if that does happen, at least one of them. Now, I want to make sure I say, because tonight I really love the showcase as well. And I want to thank Dr. Lotch for highlighting Saline soccer, and I will speak to the impact it's had on my children and on my kids. I believe that the soccer program has an incredible culture. And I believe that they have strong leadership, and the players are a good influence on one another. And so I am grateful, and I know that doesn't just happen. So I am thankful for them being highlighted tonight. I have a future Saline, hopefully, soccer player who's going to be dragging me to Cincinnati the night of March 9th for a tournament. So that'll be my future on the 9th of March. I can, and I could do, and I'm telling you, like, some of their auction items are insane. Like, I won a few years ago, like, soccer camp, and that was great. So I will be watching. And all right, so first of all, obviously, I want to send my love out. I love Michigan State. Yeah, I just love Michigan State, and so I moved today, and that's been on my mind quite a bit. And so anyway, it's hard not to think about it, especially on an anniversary, but I want our students, and I want students at Michigan State and everywhere to be safe. I am grateful to the foundation as well, because on the 1st of February, and Ben was there, he's everywhere, Dr. Julie Lithcott-Hames spoke, and I legitimately think she helped me be a better parent, right? And that was the whole goal there. And I listened to her message about letting my children, be more what they want to be and who they want to be. And it was resonating for me. Stop checking Power School 12 times a day, right? Like that kind of thing. And I'm not checking Power School 12 times a day for whoever keeps track of that in our district. But my point is, I was just grateful to hear her message and to hear, what a tremendously highly educated, incredible woman who spoke that night. And she was engaging and funny, and I'm so glad that I was able to be there. And then the last thing is, as an educator, I will also acknowledge that how much I love in the classroom being able to share with my students the extraordinary accomplishments of Black Americans and Black people in our world. And the reality for me is that I find that to be I love the month. So that's great for me, and so I'm thankful for that. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
So a lot was said about the all the sports and all that, and so I echo all that. There's all kinds of things on social media, winning awards nonstop. So I do want to shout out to Mateo. He got a hat trick. So that's pretty impressive. But I also want to give a shout out to Mr. Lampman for putting in the extra time and effort to put the pep band back together last year. Going to the basketball games, the women's and the men's, or boys and girls, whatever you want to say it. And it's just a different level of excitement with the pep band in there. And so I think that's really great that they put that back together.
Thank you. So, Anchor Leg, there are 3 things I want to talk to you about. This is a notification for the board. For those of you paying attention, today is February 3rd. Tomorrow is February 13th. Today is the 13th. Well, I haven't been paying attention. But the Public Employee Relations Act changes passed today, and I just want to let you know that there are major changes that will affect our board policies, especially policy 0122. And I know that the policy chair has that, and we're going to be discussing that at a later point. There is some concern at one point that if we hadn't passed everything by the 13th, we'd be in trouble or jeopardy. We had our lawyers basically say, no, it's okay. So I'm just putting it on the record that we're well aware, we're making the changes and moving along. Secondly, and this is going to be very brief, I want to thank the Grievance Committee. For the last 6 years, I've seen that we have a Grievance Committee. I've never seen them activated. This year, they were activated. A grievance moved from step 2 to step 3, which is our step. And I'd like to thank Vice President Stebbins, Secretary Miller, and Treasurer Gerby. Once it was received by our secretary, we had 10 days to reply, and we've set the meeting for February 20th at 4 p.m., and I'm sure I'll keep you all up to date, or Dr. Lotchwell. And finally, those students of ours, 2 weeks ago, talked about the polar plunge, and I thought, yeah, that sounds like fun, haha, good luck for you. And then they reminded me that it was in support of Special Olympics. And I've been supporting Special Olympics since I was in 10th grade in high school. And I'm not going to say the date, but I just want to say they convinced me to jump. So on February 28th, are you sure it's not the 29th? It's the 28th. Oh, okay. I'll be there. It's like a hot tub spa kind of thing, is it? Yeah. And I saw the video. I saw the video from last year, and it looks like a lot of fun. It looks like a lot of cold, chili fun. So far, I have raised $225, and next time we meet is the night before. I'm going to print out a QR code so those at home can and Brad has sort of threatened to donate as well, but I'm not going to hold you to it, Brad. But and now I'm going to shame you into it. But I'm looking forward to it. It's a great activity, and I thought I was all cool and everything. Well, cool. But it turns out that Mateo and Caroline are both going to jump as well. And so they've been offering some wardrobe suggestions for my leap. And the twins as well. Oh, it's going to be a wonderful day. Looking for, Eleni's an organizer. Well, I'm really looking forward to it, everyone. The consent agenda. Items listed in this agenda will not be read aloud. The motion noted will allow for the authorization of all listed items without discussion, unless a member of the board requests that anything be removed or considered individually. Do I have I'd like to entertain a motion to authorize the consent agenda as printed, please, and thank you.
Go ahead. Oh, sorry, I don't remember if I need to do before or after, but I do have a request to consider individually.
Okay, which item?
A. I just have an amendment proposal.
All right. Okay, so let's, we're going to review that separately. We can, pardon me?
I'll make a motion to support the amended consent agenda.
All right, that's JM. And do we have any support for that?
Sure, support.
All right. So let me, on just part of the discussion then, we're going to look at item A, approval of the Board of Education minutes.
Yes, so as I was reading the minutes under, let's see, 9, administration board updates, I wanted to add under my comments, because I know, so I've kind of summarized it so it won't be too long, but with my statement regarding the policy committee, it was not added. And I want it to be consistent with Vice President Stebbins' comment where she also mentions that she came off of the Finance Committee. So I have that language, a motion to amend that.
Okay, so have you given the language to Betty Yankee?
I have not. I can, or I can read it here as well.
Well then, pardon?
I think both, right? Because we need to approve the amendment, and then Betty should have it.
We can approve the amendment. We can also table that for the next meeting.
That's right.
Table this particular we can put the Board of Education minutes in the packet, the consent agenda for the next board meeting. With that amendment. Would that work for you?
I mean, I think it's easier just to, it's just 2 short sentences.
Oh,
and
so
I could read it and
you
then.
were planning on reading it then?
Yep,
Now?
yep.
Okay, great.
So I summarize, because that's what we do with the minutes. I'm disappointed I was not appointed to the policy committee this year. I proudly served on the policy committee for 5 years and served as chair for 2 years, period.
All right, so are we?
I guess I didn't make the motion. Do we make a motion on, I think what Susan said is consistent with what she said in the meeting, so I don't have a problem amending those minutes.
It is, except it's first person language and third person is used in the minutes.
We'll change that.
So it would need to be,
I think
It could
it's
say Susan Estep said, maybe.
yeah, because it should be consistent overall.
So the minutes will be appropriately, sorry?
Oh, I was just looking at your minutes where it said
Thank you.
me and my time, so that's why I put it in that format. But whatever is
So
consistent is
Ms.
fine.
Yankee will modify the minutes, and we will put it now back into the consent agenda. So I'd like to entertain a motion to authorize the consent agenda as amended. And that would still stand with Jennifer Miller and Brad Gerby?
Yeah.
Right then, all in favor, please say.
Can I have just a
yes,
second
sure.
to read it? Because I'm trying to find it in the packet.
It's
It's
down
page
on-
97.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure.
it actually goes on.
What is it,
to
97, Susan?
98. The top of 98. Yours is at the bottom
Okay.
of 97.
Okay, all set.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? So moved, thank you. And, oh, great. And finally, items on the next agenda, Dr. Lodge?
We will have an athletic department update, and we will have a discussion regarding school of choice, like you'd mentioned, or Trustee Gerby had mentioned. And then we're going to be doing a closed session regarding collective bargaining.
Thank you. Ms. Yankee, are there any? Mr. Fan, are you speaking again? It's all right.
Actually, you need to have filled out a form before we get to this
It's
piece
back
of the
there.
agenda.
It's back
Okay.
there. It's just not in my hands, so, right.
Can I start? Yeah, Dr. Lark and President McVeigh, what a wonderful work. I'm deeply moved, as most of you, about the program, especially for the young adult programs. And they serve us and also be with us. And this shows that as long as we follow the Saline vision and led by you, I think that we can do even better. I want to continue the challenges you face and successfully win this war against the past and also against the super powerful. They created tools, not as I suggested, to this body, to the Saline people about the SALT initiative. Their new development, new document, I just had honor Chief Director Jay accept the email, and I'd like to give a copy of something to President McVeigh. Hopefully, we can distribute it soon. Several updated things. I do think that something we can work together create so-called a miracle. Tonight is a miracle, and we're going to have more. We humans can work as a team. The largest human visible thing outer space is termite. That is 4,000 years ago. They can build that based on the togetherness and also creativity. Of course, of collaboration, communication, those are 4 C's of Saline vision. One thing I want to say is that the ideas of vertical farm against the gigantic turbine, which is definitely cost huge because the blade you have to consider but tunnel, to move around. But we create this project if we can do local consume, local generated, and local delivery, and 6 different kind of jobs: makers, assemblers, deliverers, and programmers, ad persons and artists, and navigators. I think this way can lead these drones controls. How to do that, I think the reason he never crashed 10 drones at a time. But he, from a 3D printing from the drones, that we have everything we can do. And that's one thing I said that please help me to win this money, $5.9 billion, and also there are a program over there. Work as an organization together, not just one individual. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Fan. The next Board of Education meeting will be held on Tuesday, February 27th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. in this here location. I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn the regular Board of Education meeting of February 13th, 2024. I'm dragging this out so we can get right at 9.
Wow, almost 9. 50 seconds. Oh my God.
I can't see, it looks like 9 o'clock to
Motion,
me.
Miller. Motion, Miller,
Support.
859.
Second, Gerby second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I get to bang the thing. Thank you.